Hello and welcome back for another historic video. Today we're going to be playing this mono white hammer deck. The deck is looking to use the namesake card, Colossus Hammer, to turn a couple of our weenie creatures into a formidable threat and then win in a few combat steps. In order to make the deck more consistent, we have a number of tutor effects. First being Enlightened Tutor, which we can use to grab the hammer or any of our other silver bullets. Then we have Stoneforge Mystic, again, mainly grabbing the hammer, but we do have some other equipments in the deck as well that she can tutor up. Once we have the hammer, we need a way to reduce the equipment cost, which is where Kemba's Outfitter comes in, perpetually turning it into a Equip 1. Sigarda's Aid, letting us equip it for free when it comes into the battlefield. And then Forged Anew can return it from the graveyard if it was milled, discarded, or destroyed, and then additionally can equip the hammer for 0. We're playing 4 copies of Mother of Ruins and 4 copies of Giver of Ruins to protect the creature that we're equipping the hammer to from removal. An Esper Sentinel, which is a good way to tax our opponent, try to give us enough time to get our combo set up. Other cards in the Enlightened Tutor package are Portable Hole for some removal, Ginger Brute to grab a hasty creature from our deck, Grafdigger's Cage for graveyard hate, Pithing Needle to shut off opposing planeswalkers and potentially other activated abilities, Shadow Spear for some evasion in case our opponent is able to generate chump blockers, and some matches the life gain is also relevant, and then Cauldron Complete, usually going to be grabbed with Stoneforge Mystic, but if we already have one in play, we could always grab it with the Tutor. And then there's also a copy of Ancient Den in the mana pool, which can be tutored up as well. The last card of note that I want to touch on are the 4 copies of Inkmoth Nexus. If equipped with the hammer, this can one-shot our opponent by giving them 10 poison all in one attack. Additionally, a neat interaction. The hammer states that the equipped creature loses flying, but after equipping to the Inkmoth Nexus, we can activate its ability a second time, and it will regain flying, giving it more evasion, which is a great way to close out games. This deck has been doing very well in the current historic meta. It has the ability to really pressure your opponents in the early game, but it's also able to play longer drawn out matches due to how the deck is constructed. Before we jump into the gameplay, I'd like to ask you to please like and subscribe the video. It really helps the channel. And without further ado, let's jump into the games. This hand is a bit slow, but it does have all of our pieces. We'll give it a try. And then here we'll start on the Mother of Ruins. If our opponent doesn't have 1 mana removal, it will stick around the whole game. Opponent on an Aura's deck. Should be able to win this one. See if they have the light pause. No attack. Mono black so far from our opponent. We'll just take it. They have another Eidolon. No follow-up. Play out the hammer first. Kemba's Outfitter, reduce the cost. Make sure we click the right option. And then we'll attach it to the Stoneforge. Try and hit for 11. That works. Next turn, we can use Shadow Spear, or we can try and equip the Inkmoth Nexus. Opponent attacks in with both. And we'll trade the Outfitter. Try and protect itself. That works. And then our opponent only has 1 land here, so we'll just use the Inkmoth. Good game. This hand is good. We'll keep. Up against the Soul Sisters deck. Should be favored to win here. Invasion will make our hammer more expensive. Still castable at 3 though. We'll play our Giver, get her Shadow Spear down, hit for 2. Black mana. They're bound to have creatures in this deck. I think we'll just try and get the hammer going. That resolves. And then still play around a flash threat. There's Ophelia. Looks like they also have Exile for Colossus Hammer. Unfortunate. Now we need to find a tutor for another one. Try and get our aid down before this will likely flicker their invasion. Land off the top is good. Just double check. That's an enchantment only on the backside. So we'll just play out some creatures here. And the plan is to jump block our opponent, take out their Felly if they attack in. And more removal. So I don't really understand a Johnny's Welcome in this deck. It sure threw me for a curve, but this just seems like a flicker deck. Gladly trade for the Felia here. Hope our opponent's last spell in hand is not a removal spell. They could, in theory, have another Felia as well. That works. Doesn't really matter what they pick here. All of our cards are pretty cheap. We'll play out the Mother. Hit for 2. Pass the turn. The Hive. Not really what our opponent wants here. Going to start eating away at their health. And then a land is their last card. And I think we'll actually just take out the Hive. We don't mind the High Noon. We're not going to be playing multiple spells. And we'll also attack it with Mother. Not too concerned with a removal spell on this current board state. We'll attach the Shadow Spear. We'll pick Kemba here. And then do we want to activate the Inkmoth? Might as well. We have a 1-drop in hand that we're going to be playing out. And now we will keep Mother back in case our opponent has a flash threat. No need to play out the Grafdigger's Cage. Hopeless Nightmare. We'll discard the cage. Activate Inkmoth again. Still hold Mother back. Notably, if we'd attacked with Mother a turn ago, we would have had lethal there, assuming our opponent didn't have any interaction. Opponent is looking for a board wipe. They don't like their top cards. They're down to 1. No play. Means we most likely have it here. They can only cast 1 spell, and there's the concession. Good game. This hand is missing a creature. We can use Tutor to go grab our Sigarda's Aid. And there's a Ginger Brute. I think just based on how things play out here, we can't play out the Brute yet. Consider. We'll see if we get any information from our opponent here as to what style of deck they're playing. They like the card. And another island. So it looks like it could be just a control deck. We'll see if this even resolves. It does. And then we'll get the aid, although I don't have high hopes that our opponent doesn't counter it here. There's the negate. We'll get the Ginger Brute down, start pressuring our opponent a little bit. Down to 20 turn clock. Negate definitely indicates that they're going to be a tempo deck. We'll try Kemba next. That works. And then we're not going to play the hammer into 3 open mana. We'll just hit for 1, pass the turn. Thirst. So we'll see what their creature package is here. We could be in some trouble depending on what they're playing. Flow for knowledge, yep. Definitely tempo. Haughty Djinn. They can still cast the negate with their 1 mana. So this is most likely just going to be a loss. Although that resolved pretty quickly. Try to hit for 11. And then I don't expect him to have any recursion from the graveyard. So I'm going to hold on to Grafdigger's Cage. They need to have a bounce spell, either for the hammer or for the Ginger Brute. They dig with Thirst. Discard 2 cards instead of an island. Counter spells again. And they attack in. Terror's not going to do it for them. Try to swing in with the Ginger Brute here. Does look like they have a bounce spell. And they like their card. We'll equip the hammer to the Kemba here. And then pass the turn. It seems like our opponent has another bounce spell. So we could be in chump blocking duty with the Ginger Brute. Opponent does have us on a 2-turn clock in the air. So next turn we're going to have to present lethal. We don't have any removal spells for the Djinn. Another terror. If they had the bounce spell, they should have cast it. Jin would have been lethal in that case, so maybe they are all out of instants and sorceries. Move the hammer over to the ginger root. Give it unblockable. And try to swing for lethal. See if our opponents slow played us. And they did. So sacrificing it to gain life won't do anything here. Opponent could have done this last turn for lethal. And another Jin. Now they get a 2 mana reduction on all their spells. No blocks. On to the next. This hand just won't do. Here we have the Tutor and the Kemba. We'll keep this. And then what to put back? Probably the Aid. Play out a land. And then we'll get the Sentinel down. We don't have a turn 2 play at the moment, so there's no point in rushing out the Tutor here. Prismatic Vista. Here we'll go get the hammer. We did that so that we could play out Kemba this turn and reduce the cost of hammer. Next turn we should be able to play it and equip. Opponent doesn't fetch yet. And there's a second Vista. We'll see if this resolves. It does, and then we'll equip it to the Outfitter. I think the Sentinel's a little bit more valuable to us, since it will be taxing any of our opponent's plays. Down to 6. Fetch down to 5. Blue land. Fetch down to 4. Is this going to be red? Nope, second blue. So they're on a monocolored deck, or Demir. But whatever they were trying to do never came together. Good game. This hand is fine. We'll keep. Opponent on a mulligan. We'll hold up Enlightened Tutor. It's going to be a minion of the Mighty deck. We'll just go get our Sigarda's Aid here. Portable Hole on the minion. And there's the concession. On to the next. This hand just won't do. Take a mulligan. This is okay. We'll keep this, and then I think we'll put back the Forged Anew. Most likely up against the Wizards deck here. They shock in Steam Vents, Ponder. We can play out Sigarda's Aid on turn 1. Then on turn 2, we can either play out double Mother of Ruins, or we can play out one Mother and the Hammer. We'll see what our opponent does. Portable Hole could also be used if they play out a creature. Shock in again. Play a Dreadhorde. So here, I think we are going to play out the Mother. It only gets punished if our opponent has a Flame of Anor, which not all decks play. They are looking at our hammer though, which I don't like. Indicates that they might have one in the grip. Symmetry Sage. Do they have haste? Okay, so no attack here. What I think we're going to do, I think we're going to attack in and see if they block. We'll hold full control in case they fetch. That way they think we're holding priority for an instant spell. And they just concede. We were going to most likely take out the Dread Horde if they didn't block. And then if they did, we'd just take out whatever was left over there. Good game. This hand's not going to cut it. No way to get Hammer. This one's also not very good. Here we have the Tutor. All the tools are here. It's just really slow. We'll put back the Pithing Needle and Giver of Ruins. Dark Slick Shores into Thoughtseize. This will take the Tutor, unfortunately. Meaning our hand is going to be pretty bad. No, goes for Kemba instead. I don't necessarily agree with that choice. Then there's a Psychic Frog. Don't think it's worth getting a Pithing Needle here. We'll go grab Hammer. Going to be setting up a multi-turn line here with Inkmoth Nexus. We need at least one more mana to play out Forged Anew. And then we're going to need another turn before we can get an attack in. Can't afford to block here, so we'll just take it. No discard from our opponent yet for the Frog. Another Thoughtseize would be pretty rough here. Dismember is fine. And another Frog. So, if our opponent is not familiar with Forged Anew, we could potentially present lethal next turn. They need to keep a Psychic Frog back to block with. Nope, they attack in with both. Maybe they have another removal spell. Discard the Barragoyf. So are they planning on reanimating it? There's the 4th mana on Earth. And they're just holding up here. Give the Inkmoth flying again, so we can fly over the Barragoyf. And looks like our opponent just punted this one. On to the next. This hand is a bit slow, but it has some potential. We'll keep it. Question here, what do we play out on 1? I think we'll get the Mother down. It incentivizes our opponent to use removal on it, and that frees the way for Stoneforge Mystic. Here we can either play out the Hammer or the Outfitter against green. I think we will get the Hammer down. Next turn we can try and use Inkmoth for lethal, and if there's something like Elves or Devotion, they're going to struggle. Second Forest and Fanatic. So this should be game here. Make sure to tap the Inkmoth that we just played out. Equip Hammer. Give pro green. And that'll be lethal. Good game. This hand really needs a second mana. Otherwise, it's pretty good. I know it's risky, but we'll give it a try. See if Sentinel can get that land for us. It does not, and unfortunately we miss here. So we'll play the aid, hit for 1. Scavenging Ooze is okay against us. And we draw the hammer naturally. Long pause here from our opponent. They take it. So for the most part, now we just need to dodge removal or discard on our Shadow Spear. I'm sure they have a lot of cards to deal with the Sentinel. It will at least draw us a card on the way out. And they destroy the hammer as well. Still no land. This is pretty brutal. $11 cards deep, single land. I think if any of the last 2 cards we drew were lands, we would have won this one pretty handedly. But at this point, we're probably going to struggle and have a long drawn out game. Another K command. Discard a card here. Probably don't need the between Kemba and Giver. With the aid in play, I don't think Kemba's as necessary, and we're also going to be trying to use Forged Anew if we ever draw into lands. Opponent shocks in down to 4, and they use a Scavenging Ooze right away. We'll take out the Ooze here. Take off some pressure until we can draw a second land. 5 mana from our opponent, and they have a Wrenn and 6. Don't usually see that in Historic. Tarmogoyf can apply some real pressure, but now we found our land. We can use Stoneforge, and honestly, we'll just take the hammer. It's tempting to get Cauldra, but it can get stranded in hand if they have any more removal. Whereas the hammer, we can at least equip next turn to Giver. No blocks. Means they definitely have a removal spell. They shock in. Bantu's Last Reckoning. That's fine. We'll play out the Sentinel here. And then might as well play out the Giver of Runes as well. Present 2 lethal threats next turn. Wrenn and 6 can ping the Sentinel if they want. They still need something for the Giver. No play here. We will try to play out the Colossus Hammer. And we managed to pull that one off. Good game. Alright, so there you have the deck. Did very well in the games today. Only dropping the 1 to the Mono Blue Tempo deck, which even at that, we had a very good chance of winning. Came down to having a couple bounce spells at the end, preventing our Ginger Brute from connecting. Feel like that one was very close and could have gone either way. Similarly, that last matchup where we were mana screwed a little bit, we could have easily dropped, but we did manage to pull it off. As expected, being able to present a 10 plus power creature on turn 2, backed by protection from the Giver of Ruins and Mother of Ruins, is very powerful. And then having the Inkmoth Nexus, which is a creature land, being able to close out games in a single attack, provided to be quite powerful. I don't know if Wizards ever plans on releasing Wasteland in the format, but until then, decks like this are going to continue to be powerhouses. And while in the matches today, we didn't really get to use Enlightened Tutor as a silver bullet package, since in the minion match we already had the portable hole in hand. It is a very strong interaction in Historic still. In the past month or so, this has been my go-to deck whenever I need to get some quick wins. and I definitely recommend you give it a try. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content.